Dear Cameroonians, ladies and gentlemen, in October 24th, 2020, in the late morning, Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy, located in KUMBA in the southwest region of Cameroon, was the scene of a rare type of horror. Terrorists burst into a classroom and, like wild beasts, murdered a dozen students aged 9 to 12. I extend my condolences and compassion to their inconsolable families. Let us observe a minute of silence to honor the memories of our children that have been killed. Thank you. Infanticide and feminicide of all known crimes are considered to be the cruelest, the most infamous, the most ignoble. Our children are being killed. The future is being threatened. The people of the nation is being buried. The hope of the nation is being buried. The republic is pushed into its entrenchment. Our children are attacked. We are attacking the very foundation of the republic. We are attacking the school. We are facing the unspeakable, the inexpressible, the abject. Must we remain silent in the face of the unbearable? No. This is one murder too many. One murder too many. Cameroon cannot remain insensitive when we attack those who will perpetuate the nation. No. Cameroon cannot stand the attack of school children. Dear deceased children, Victory Kamimbon Ngaminyi, 11 years old. Anangim Jennifer, 11 too. Njemone Princess, 12. Zakame Rema, 9 years old. Chema Cindy. In the name of the Cameroonians, and especially of the human race, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon for our cowardice and our intolerable cruelty. I beg your pardon for not being able to protect you. These fragile beings whose only crime was to go back to school after 4 long forced blank years. Dear wounded students, Francisca Akindam, 12 years old. Mbong Blessing, 11. Mocha Juliet, 15. Agent Princess, 10. Golden Gems, 10. Acha Christabel, Ndum Princess, Belinda Marian, Rosemary Wase, Tifu Lydia Favor, Somini Mutula Ange, Efouet Thérèse, Munge Remy. Like your fallen schoolmates, you are the heroes of our time. I ask you to hold tight. Do not give up. You have become the living soul of the fight for the right to education for all. Dear teachers and school coaches, I salute your courage and bravery in the offering of children in the English-speaking regions quality education under difficult conditions. You deserve the support, care, and tribute of the nation. In the face of this unacceptable decimation of the children of the Republic, I call upon the President of the Republic. Mr. President, you must exercise in all its rigor the mandate that the people have entrusted to you. Yes, it is your duty to protect our children. You have the duty to protect the future of our children. If you do not do so, you have failed. You can stop this war. You must stop it. You have the means. From the day after this tragedy, people should have been seeing you, Mr. President, surrounded by the army staff. Nothing. Mr. President of the Republic, Commander of the Armed Forces, apply this article of the Cameroonian constitutions against the terrorists who murder our children. Article 9. The President of the Republic may, when circumstances so require, proclaim by decree a state of emergency which confers special powers on him under the conditions laid down by law. The President of the Republic may, in the event of a serious danger threatening the integrity of the territory, life, independence, or the institutions of the Republic, proclaim by decree a state of emergency and take any measures he deems necessary. He informs the nation by means of a message. Now, these notorious hawks, politicians reputed to have been broken politicians, who are supposedly loyal to you, Mr. President. These notorious hawks, who by their contempt and their flippancy have made a series of mistakes since the useless violence they ordered on lawyers in Bamenda in November 2016, and the useless embezzlement of the consortium's leaders in January 2017. What have these powerful hawks done to prevent these consequences of their inconsequences? Mr. President of the Republic, the people did not elect these hawks. They are your own creatures. It is therefore you that the people hold accountable. Either you are the commander-in-chief or you are not. As the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, order the armed forces to disable these terrorists by January 1st, 2021. We dare not think that these terrorists, who horrified KUMBA and are more powerful than other terrorist groups that have retreated against our defense forces in the northern part of our country. Mr. President of the Republic, listen to the voices of Mancho Bibixi and Galim Felix, those precursors of the Anglophone crisis, who were certainly condemned, but who sent you a letter of repentance in which they offered their services for the restoration of peace. Listen to them. Mr. President of the Republic, implement the resolutions of the Great National Dialogue of September-October 2019. It was a historic moment whose undeniable resolutions cannot be questioned. Respectable and irreplaceable figures of the English-speaking cause, such as Cardinal Tumi, Professor Samuel Munzu, Felix Agbo Bala, Nijon Frundi, and others took part. It was difficult to have better panel at the national level. The resulting recommendations were not satisfactory to all, but their immediate and effective implementation would have been calming. The hawks' inertia once again dictated its law. Today, we are hearing ministers say that they will not apply the allocation of the DTCs of the 15% of the state's revenues as provided for in the law that established the special status. This raises the question of whether the ultimate objective is not to prevent this special status from coming into being. If not, why announce that we are going to prevent its fulfillment? Mr. President of the Republic, listen to the deep expectations of your English-speaking compatriots. They are nostalgic of the 11 years of federalism during which they managed themselves. The crisis which we hammered home during the Great National Dialogue is autonomist, not independentist. We must not let the criminals jam the signal. The solution is, in the opinion of all, the decongestion of the central state. It is through an effective decentralization, the empowerment of the decentralized territorial collectivities. This autonomy must consist of a transfer of decision-making powers and extended administrative competencies. For in a democracy, we must never forget that the power to decide and administer comes from the people through voting. The President of the Republic, who is at the top of the administrative apparatus of the state, is elected. Thus, the President of the region and the mayor, who are at the top of the executive of the DTC councils, also received by vote the power to decide and administer. Denying them these attributes is violating decentralized representative democracy. Another thing that should never be forgotten in that the cradle and even the soul of decentralization in Cameroon is in the English-speaking regions. In 1922, there was already the native administration or indirect rule carried out by traditional chiefs. In the 40s and 50s, there were local authorities which were councils of traditional chiefs. Between 1961 and 1974, these local authorities were turned into local councils. It should be noted that municipalization only began in French-speaking East Cameroon with the creation of the mixed urban councils of Vuri and Yaoundé in 1941. There is, and this is not insignificant, a 19-year experience differential on the Franco-British domination. The Anglophone crisis, which is therefore not new, is in fact a crisis of governance. It does not set Francophones against Anglophones. If it did, a politician named Nijon Fundi will not have won in the 1992 president election votes that only the English-speaking electorate were unable to give him. The time has also come to silence amalgams and lies for good. It is also the time to remember that there was never any initial consensus on reunification among English speakers. When the time came for the independence, there were indeed watertight differences. When some wanted to be attached to Nigeria, this was the case of Dr. Emmanuel Ndele of the Cameroon National Congress, PM Kale, and Nerios Mbile of the Cameroon People's Party. Others militated for reunification with French Cameroon. This is the case of Augustin Gomjoua and John Gufoncha of the Cameroon National Democratic Party. The latter would later form an alliance with the Union des Populations du Cameroun, UPC, which, after its ban in the English-speaking part by the British administration in 1957, was reborn as the One Cameroon Party, led by Nde Tumaza. In the course of history, certain leaders modified their positions. Case of PM Kale, who resigned from the KNC to create the Cameroon United Party for an exclusively secessionist approach, aiming at the independence of a totally autonomous political entity. While many historical writings claim that the latter approach was the most popular among English-speaking people, The United Nations and the English imperialists themselves did not agree with it, being opposed to a new balkanization of Africa. This is why, after multiple consultations, both in New York at the UN headquarters and in Cameroon, the different currents had to resign themselves to the UN Popular Consultation of February 11, 1961, during which they had to choose between British, Nigeria, and French-speaking Cameroon. Not only did the most predominant English-speaking leaders subscribe to it, but they also accepted the controversial results that emerged from it. For posterity will always wonder why a consultation carried out in the territory under single British rule ended up with partitioned results. In fact, the cumulative figures of the southern and northern British Cameroon election gave 331,230 votes in favor of reunification and 244,037 votes in favor of attachment to Nigeria. Nevertheless, the United Nations Resolutions 1608 of April 21st, 1961, attached the northern British Cameroon alone to Nigeria because the majority of the votes were in favor of it. A sudden segmentation which to date has found no historical textual basis. The Anglophone and Francophone leaders concerned with the reunification of southern Cameroon accepted the situation as it was and started the construction of reunification. It is around this construction seat that a real consensus has struggled to emerge since 1961. This consensus can only be found in a form of state that federates with equity the differences between the Cameroonian peoples. The sociological and anthropological differences that preceded the Franco-British domination and the systemic, political, and cultural differences born of these domination. The solution is therefore a federalist inspiration to be distinguished from so-called federal state, which is only a declination of it in the form of a subject of law to be opposed, if need be, to the unitary states. Because, to our understanding, it is sacrilege to question the work of reunification to become one to which our valiant ascendants have so laboriously worked at the price of unspeakable sacrifices. However, the outcome is not legal and disembodied. It is human and political. It is the federalism of peoples whose legal declination we propose is identity-based regionalization. Ladies and gentlemen, I accuse the active and dormant cells, which for 4 years on social networks and on TV shows have been constantly and openly supporting the terrorists. Haven't we seen videos circulating and showing political actors and civil society leaders calling for mobilization of funds to bring weapons to the Northwest or Southwest? These steps exist. But what has the government done to call them to order? Nothing. Worse still, at the height of the emotion of KUMBA massacre, some political party leaders are rejoicing. Some were kicked to sow doubt in the minds of the people by summoning the case of Ngarbu, thereby simply incriminating our defense forces. In what country in the world have the minds of the Mr. President. In what country in the world have the war? Oh non, je crois qu'il y a un souci. La 8e. Excusez-moi. Un stylo, s'il vous plaît. Un peu d'eau. We can continue. In what country in the world have the blunders of the defense forces and the crimes of terrorist scoundrels been put on the same footing? I warn the media platforms that instead of carousing around the hunt of these terrorists, display soothing behaviors towards them. The death of innocent children cannot become an outlet for the frustrations of adults. Finally, I appeal to my parents in the Northwest and Southwest. Those who terrorized our people, those who slaughtered our sisters, our mothers, our wives, and murder our children in the inviolable sanctuary of school, come from families. So, the families whose children have taken up arms must fully cooperate with the defense and security forces. These families bear some responsibility for their silence. It is this complicit silence that killed our children in KUMBA. Let the people of the Northwest and Southwest rise up, supported and accompanied by the defense and security forces and the rest of the Cameroonian people, to hunt down these terrorists. Let the people beyond partitions and political chapels rise up and mobilize. No organization is stronger than united people. My dear parents, you are a fundamental lever to put an end to today's crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time that I address the entire Cameroonian people. We must take our responsibilities. Actors of politics, religion, tradition, and civil society, let us stand up as one and speak with one voice to stop this bloodbath. Let us ask the President of the Republic to involve personalities deemed credible to get closer to the families of those whose children are on the margins of the Republic. It is absolutely necessary to make families adhere to this fight. Let us ask the President of the Republic to get closer to those English-speaking leaders who dissociated themselves from these despicable acts and who can give a chance to end the crisis. Let us ask the President of the Republic to intensify the Bamenda Clean operation so that it extends to all areas identified as cauldrons. In order to do this, we must give the army and all the means needed to hunt down terrorists up to the Indies if necessary. Let us ask the President to order the psychological, clinical, and financial support of families affected by terrorism. Let us ask the President of the Republic to start the constitution of the collective memory of the horrors of terrorism through the launching of days of national mourning, the construction of commemorative buildings for the victims of terrorism, and the institutions of a national day to honor them across the country. Let us ask the President of the Republic to secure all the schools in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Let us ask the President of the Republic to dissolve any organization or to withdraw the approval of any media or organization that supports or makes terrorist propaganda. We ask the President of the Republic to give an effective content to the special status. We ask the President of the Republic to receive in the presidency all political and civil society leaders, English-speaking leaders who are peace-loving in order to build a sacred union on this specific issue, that is the English-speaking crisis. This is the occasion, Mr. President of the Republic, to authorize the holding of the All-Anglophone Conference initiated by Cardinal Tumi. In my capacity as nation's MP, I am ready to listen to my English-speaking and French-speaking compatriots for all walks of life, so that together we set up a platform to safeguard our beloved homeland. With this in mind, I will get in touch with all the voices that count in this country as soon as possible. Thanks for your attention.